SFQ.
What's that?
Stupid fucking question.
Yeah, okay. What, from him?
But yeah,
No,
I mean, how dare he not know where Gareth A Davies is from?
No, it's not that.
No, I know it's not that.
It's odd.
People are odd.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
Okay.
Anyway, speaking of odd, October Red, I'm back with Gareth.
Very odd.
As odd as you?
I don't know. Is there an odd chart? Or is it just all subjective opinions?
I don't know. I guess we can leave that up to the people in the comments. But without further...
Oh, the people in the comments. Yeah, the good old people. Yeah. Go on.
Listen, this is your bread and butter. This is your world. But I'm happy to be joined by my live partner. We do lives, don't we? But today we are here in the flesh. It's not live, it's pre-recorded. But we're at the Magnificent 7 Part 2 press conference. Gareth.
Part 2?
Well, they've had a Magnificent 7 Part 1 already, haven't they?
Part 3. If you go back to 2009, with James DeGale's debut. He was booed that night in Birmingham, you know. He'd won Olympic gold in Beijing, but he was booed that night because he was too slick and didn't engage that much. He was fighting a Turkish guy from memory, Turkish boxer. God, it's a long time ago. But yeah, I think it's Magnificent 7 Part 3 if you look back historically. So there.
If I'm going to be corrected, I don't mind being corrected by you. And Birmingham booing, we're a very, very tough audience to crack.
But a knowledgeable boxing audience. A knowledgeable audience with music and boxing.
We know our stuff, but once you crack us and we're on side, you've got us for life. Because one thing I will say about Brummies is we're quite loyal people.
I'm sure you are. You got that lilting accent. Brummies.
That sounds more Liverpoolian. But anyway, talk to me about, you know what, I want to touch on...
I apologise to the whole of Birmingham for that appalling accent.
I'm sure we'll forgive you.
And my appalling accent, by the way, not the appalling Birmingham. Because I think Birmingham accent gets a bit of stick sometimes. But it's actually very beautiful. And it's a very sing-song accent as well.
People do say it sounds melodic.
Very, very. Anyway,
back to boxing. We're here in London, and one of the fights I wanted to ask you about, and it's a shame that he's not here to talk about it because he's gone, Joel Joyce versus Cash Ali. He comes back to fight Cash. Your thoughts on that?
well, he's a big favourite in my view.
Obviously.
It's a demolition job Joe has to do on Cash. I mean, with all respect, due respect to Cash. But it is a comeback fight for Joe after those two losses last year to Zhili Zhang. The second one more damaging than the first in lots of ways. But Joe spoke to what he's thinking in his mind up on the dais today, which is, I want to get back in the mix. I want to fight Parker again. Parker wants to fight him, Joseph Parker. Where's he fighting now? Out in Saudi Arabia on these big cards. Maybe Zhili Zhang again. Frank Warren said if he wants that fight with Zhili Zhang, he might not want that. Zhili Zhang has got his number. You have to say he's got his number. But there's huge fights out there. There's the Daniel Dubois rematch. Dubois riding high again. That's one that Dubois will want to put straight. So Joe needs to get back in the win column. And then those bigger nights over there probably happen for him later in the year.
This is just me as an observer, listening to him speak at the top table. It's sort of like he feels like he's sort of like outside of the room.
He is. I mean, that's the big show at the moment. Thankfully, and I've got to say this, Frank Warren never forgets to keep the home fires burning. He's always promoting from the bottom up as well. He's always making sure that there's a conveyor belt of talent being developed. He's always been like that. From the word go, he's been like that. He's always been about seeding and nurturing the garden, if you like, to make sure that talent comes through. So in many ways, Joe Joyce has been at the highest levels, but now he's having to operate and earn his snakes and ladders. He slid down the snake, he's got to climb the ladder again. He needs to climb a couple of rungs and he's back there again. But it's great what Frank's done with these magnificent 7 cards. It's a great idea, and there's some terrific talent on the card. Dennis McCann, Nathan Heaney's story, live challenger against him. It's Liam Davis, they're all in really live fights, so it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be a really entertaining card.
You've
And
mentioned,
also, by the way,
yeah.
as the Saudi Arabians invest more in the lower weight divisions or the in the lighter weight divisions, these guys are going to get opportunities over there as well. And I only say this because the purses on offer to these guys are obviously attractive over there. So, you know, it's a great time for boxing. We start 2024 in very, very rude health.
We like to see things like that. You've mentioned something that I touched on with Liam Davis, is the fact that this is sort of like a progression as Saudi, like you said, is coming down in the weight categories, that there's possibilities for those fighters. But one thing that you've said there, you've touched on there, is Frank is still keeping the fire burning over here, over on our shores, making sure that we're still being entertained. The fans that can't necessarily afford to get out to Saudi, they can maybe get a train ride, a taxi ride, drive to the centre of the UK, Birmingham, second city, to watch really good fights.
Yes.
Do you need to be awkward? You're supposed to elaborate. Elaborate on that.
No,
Elaborate. It wasn't a closed question.
You just added to what I... Hang on, why am I arguing with everyone today? I'm only switched on. You added to what I just said, and I agree with you. That's all I meant.
Yeah, but you can elaborate. You're very argumentative.
Yeah, if it's not one, it's. I'm in that kind of mood. But I'm
look,
switched on.
Frank.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah,
that's what.
Yeah, you agree with me, but are you going to sniff my hair?
I didn't. You're referring to Michelle Joy Phelps in Quebec. I went to kiss her on the cheek.
It didn't look like a kiss. Let's just keep it. You know, I was worried for her at some point. Elaborate on that.
I came into the room. I didn't realise she was interviewing Eddie Hearn. I hadn't seen her for a while. I went to kiss her on the cheek. They were in the middle of an interview. She turned her head, and I ended up kissing the back of her head. I'm not a hair sniffer. You know, I don't sniff hair, you know. Frank Warren's waiting for you in a minute, by the way.
Listen.
I'm not going to interview him today, by the way. You interview him.
No, you've said that you're going to do a piece with him.
I don't think I'm going to have time. But anyway, yeah, come on, crack on.
David Adelaide. Frank mentioned...
Yeah,
this just going to rat shit. Right.
Really good fight. Great fight for David.
It is.
He's 10-0, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, but what's the disciplinary with David Adelaide? Do we know?
Yeah, well, it's for the scrap with Fabio Wardley.
Right.
Back at the Fury Nagano press conference day at the Outer Net. Do you remember? Yeah. They had an altercation. It's very odd that it's so late after the event that they've done it, but there you go. He fought before the hearing, so I'm sure it'll be knuckles wrapped or wrists smacked and a fine of some kind, and say, don't do that again. I mean, the two guys were very well behaved with each other out in Saudi anyway, so that will probably count in his favour. But it is good that the boards, the Boxing Board of Control, do have a disciplinary process for behaviour like that on a massive stage, because you can't go condoning those kind of that behaviour.
You can't, but we move forward, we draw a line under that. Hopefully everything gets done and dusted with the disciplinary. So talk to me about potentially the fight with him and our English champion, Solomon Dakers.
It's a really good fight. It's a test for Dakers. Adelaide's looked very good. Adelaide's got to come back and get himself in the mix. I've got a lot of time for him. He learnt an awful lot in that fight with Fabio Wardley. Wouldn't surprise me to see those two fight again. But this is an opportunity for Dakers to make his mark. Definitely. They're heavyweights, they're young heavyweights. They can both crack. Is he 10-0 with 10 KOs, Solomon?
He hasn't got I think he's got 2 KOs.
I can't remember. I haven't got his record in front of me. But I think he's 10-0 though, isn't he? I think he is anyway. I mean, I remember he was on the last Magnificent Seven card, wasn't he? He's a big, powerful heavyweight. They both are.
Would you say that Solomon's powerful because his power's been brought into question?
Yeah, of course he's powerful. Of course he's powerful. It's about timing and about, the sweet science. There's no question that a man of that size has power. That it's how they apply it. So, listen, I think Adelaide is the marginal favourite in that fight. But it's a fight I'm really looking forward to.
There's some suggestion that well, there's not a suggestion. The BBFC have ordered a potential fight for the English belt with Moses Atuma versus obviously Solomon Dakers. I understand.
Won't happen. Because Moses is going to fight in... Has that been announced or not?
Yeah, we know that he's on the card. We just don't know who's opponent.
We don't know who it is at the moment, but he'll be fighting in Saudi Arabia, yeah.
Why do you think it won't happen?
Because he's fighting in Saudi Arabia.
But the purse bids wasn't due until like the end of June. Is there a possibility that, say, if Solomon comes... Yeah.
That's probably what they're waiting for. Yeah, absolutely. If that happens, then that's great. I mean, Moses Atuma is going to... They're not in a rush with him, but I've got to have a feeling that he's got the ability. If you're good enough, you're old enough. He's one of those, and obviously we know what he's trying to do. And so to the top line, Frank's not happy about it being repeated too much because Frank Warren, he doesn't want pressure on him too much. But he's going to try and beat that Mike Tyson, youngest ever heavyweight. Within under 22 years of age. So it's a fantastic plan. And if they can do it, is he still 18? 19.
Is he 19?
19 now. I think it's May 2025 he's got to do it by. May of the year 2025. So he's got 16 months to do it. So he's going to be at 16, 17 fights by then. Who knows? He's certainly so talented.
The scope of the heavyweights, the prospects that's coming up. I know you said it is possible for him to hit that record. But who would you like to see Moses in against? And I will give Frank credit because he's building him properly. He's not rushing him. He's giving him opponents that are slight step-ups that can test Moses. But how do you see him faring against some of the pool that we've got now? And the pool of prospects, because some of these guys, the ones at the top, they're going to be falling off as we speak.
Well, he's not experienced enough to fight Adelaide, Wardley... Maybe Dakers, yeah, but that's probably the next step. They mustn't rush him too quickly because, as we know in boxing, once you go forward, it's very hard to come back. Within 5 fights, he might be good enough to challenge for a world title. But where is he at the moment? He's in Tyson Fury's camp, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's out in Saudi Arabia. He's learning. He's doing dozens and dozens of rounds with Tyson Fury. He's learning things about big camps, what the elite level's like. He's still in school. He hasn't even done his university yet, has he? It wouldn't disappoint me if he doesn't fight for a world title younger than Mike Tyson. No rush, because once you get there, you got to stay there, and that's going to be the difficulty.
We love it. Listen, Gareth.
You've been very awkward today.
I'm awkward. You're awkward.
Usually for you. No, the time is ticking away, and the river is flowing by. The icy chill has gripped us.
Well, there's worse things that could grip us, but anyway, Gareth, it's a pleasure. We've got to do something again soon. I know you've highlighted that I'm not your favourite interviewer, that I don't ask the question. Well, it's not me, is it? But it's okay.
Do you want to?
No, I'm not bothered.
You're not
but
bothered.
But it's nice that you've highlighted that I'm not.
Favouritism, anyway. You're about meritocracy and democracy, and you're a Marxist, aren't you?
Any other words that you could use to describe me while we close off?
Extraordinarily odd.